The storm hit research station Kepler 442 without warning. Dr. Kim Mina looked up from her work as the lights flickered. Outside, lightning split the dark sky of the alien world. The station shook like a toy in a giant's hand. "Power is going down," Park Do-hyun called from across the lab. His voice was tight with worry. "The backup systems are failing." Mina felt her stomach drop. This wasn't just any research station. They kept the most dangerous creatures in the known galaxy here. Things that had wiped out entire planets. Things that made grown soldiers cry just from seeing them. The containment fields were powered by the main generator. The power went out. A deep hum filled the air, then slowly faded to nothing. The containment fields were dying. "Emergency protocols," Mina shouted. "Lock down everything we can manually." But it was too late. All around them red lights began flashing. The computer voice was calm, which made everything worse. "Warning. Containment breach. Warning. Containment breach." The first creature to escape was a shadow maw from Tartarus Prime. 8 feet tall, covered in black scales that seemed to eat light. Its claws could cut through steel like paper. Just one of these things had killed 3,000 colonists on New Geneva before the military finally stopped it. More cells opened. Crystal renders skittered out on too many legs, their bodies made of living glass that could slice a person in half. Void stalkers phased through the walls like ghosts, but ghosts that could tear your heart out. "We need to get to the safe room," Do-hyun said. His face was pale. They ran down the corridor. Behind them, they could hear the creatures spreading through the station. The sound of claws on metal. The whisper of something moving through solid walls. Mina turned a corner and stopped dead. The shadow maw stood in front of her. This close she could see every detail. The rows of teeth in its mouth. The cold intelligence in its 6 eyes. The way its muscles tensed as it prepared to strike. She couldn't move. Her body wouldn't obey her. This was how she was going to die. The shadow maw tilted its head. Its eyes studied her face. Then something strange happened. The creature took a step backward. Mina blinked. That couldn't be right. These things didn't back down from anything. The shadow maw kept watching her. Its head moved side to side like it was trying to figure something out. Then it made a low sound in its throat. Not a growl. Something else. Something that sounded almost like confusion? It turned and walked away. Mina stood there for a long moment, shaking. Then she heard Do-hyun calling her name. "I'm here," she called back. "I'm okay." When she found him, he was pressed against a wall. A crystal render was nearby, but it wasn't attacking. It was just sitting there watching him. "What's wrong with it?" Do-hyun whispered. "I don't know," Mina said. But she was starting to think something very strange was happening. They found Lee Sun-ho in the main lab. He was calmly taking notes while 3 void stalkers floated nearby. The creatures that could phase through matter, that hunted by pure instinct, were just waiting. "Sun-ho," Mina called softly. "Don't move." "Why?" he asked, not looking up from his tablet. "They're not bothering me." "They're what?" "They've been here for 10 minutes. Just watching. It's actually quite interesting from a behavioral standpoint." Nam Jaewon's voice came over the radio. She was in the lower levels. "Is anyone else finding this weird? I've got a pack of bone crusher alphas down here. They're following me, but they won't come closer than about 10 feet. Mina keyed her radio. "Everyone report in. What's your status with the escaped specimens?" One by one the team checked in. Everyone was alive. Everyone was unharmed. The creatures that should have killed them all in minutes were avoiding them. Dr. Yoon from the observation deck reported that the razor-wing matriarch was perched on the roof, but hadn't tried to enter the station. The Deathmaw prowlers were hunting the smaller prey animals that lived around the station, but they ran away whenever a human came near. "This doesn't make sense," Do-hyun said. "These are apex predators. They don't back down from anything." Mina watched a crystal render move past them in the hallway. The creature that could cut through battle armor was walking along the wall to avoid getting too close to them. "Maybe," she said slowly, "they're not seeing us as prey. Then what are they seeing us as?" Sun-ho asked. Before anyone could answer, the rescue ships arrived. Captain Torres and his team came through the station expecting to find a massacre. Instead, they found the research team calmly documenting the behavior of creatures that were keeping their distance. "I don't understand," Torres said, looking at a shadow maw that was pressed against the far wall of the corridor. "Why isn't it attacking?" "We don't know," Mina admitted. "But I think we need to find out." The rescue team was able to recontain most of the creatures without firing a shot. The predators seemed almost eager to go back into their cells, as long as humans weren't the ones directly handling them. As the storm cleared and the station's power was restored, Mina stood at the observation window. Outside, she could see scorch marks where the creatures had tested their limits against the station's outer defenses. But inside, where the humans had been, there wasn't a single sign of violence. Something about humans made these creatures pause. Something made them choose retreat over attack. And that something might change everything they thought they knew about humanity's place in the galaxy. The report from Research Station Kepler 442 landed on Ambassador Thexali's desk 3 days after the incident. The Zephyrian diplomat read it once, then twice, then put it aside with a shake of his four-armed frame. Humans always exaggerated their stories. But more reports kept coming. Captain Yoon Take of the human exploration ship Harmony had filed a routine survey report from Crimson 4. What wasn't routine was his description of walking through a razor-wing matriarch nest. These creatures were the reason the Zephyrian Empire had abandoned 3 star systems. A single matriarch could take down a battle cruiser. A nest of them was a death sentence. According to Yoon Take, he had simply walked past them while collecting mineral samples. The matriarchs had watched him the entire time but never attacked. Thexali called his military advisor. General Kexthor, didn't we lose the entire 7th Fleet to Razorwings on Crimson 4? Affirmative, Ambassador. 200 ships. 30,000 soldiers. The creatures tore through our battle armor like paper. And this human walked through their nest unharmed? So the report claims. Thexali was about to dismiss it when another file appeared on his screen. This one from the mining colony on Kael'Rath. Research intern Song Hannah had been collecting plant samples when she wandered into Bone Crusher Alpha territory. The file included security footage from her suit camera. Thexali watched in disbelief as a pack of 6 alphas emerged from the rocky terrain. Bone Crushers were pack hunters. They worked together like a military unit. Their bite force could snap a shuttle in half. The Corvani Federation had spent 50 years trying to clear them from just one continent. In the footage, Song Hannah didn't even notice them at first. She was focused on a flowering plant near a stream. The alphas approached slowly, then stopped about 20 feet away. They followed her for 3 kilometers as she collected samples, always maintaining the same distance. When she finally noticed them, she waved. "Oh, hello there," her voice came through the speakers. "Are you the local wildlife? You're much bigger than the database said." The Alpha Pack leader tilted its massive head, studying her. Then it made a decision. The entire pack turned and walked away. Thexali forwarded both reports to Dr. Kethvar, the Galactic Council's chief xenobiologist. Within a week, Kethvar's office was flooded with similar stories. From the ice world of Tython came footage of maintenance worker Choi Miho accidentally cornering a Deathmaw prowler in a supply tunnel. These creatures were ambush predators that could remain perfectly still for months waiting for prey. When cornered, they became unstoppable killing machines. The prowler had backed away from Miho until it could phase through the tunnel wall to escape. A trading post on the edge of Void Stalker territory reported that human trader Im Soyeon regularly walked through areas that forced armed escorts to turn back. The stalkers would follow her cargo hauler for hours but never got closer than 50 meters. Dr. Kethvar spread the files across his desk. 47 separate incidents. 12 different apex predator species. All showing the same impossible behavior around humans. "It makes no sense," he muttered to his assistant. "These creatures have no common evolutionary history. They come from completely different star systems. There's no biological reason they should all react the same way to humans." His assistant, a young Eldorian named Vex Ti, pulled up predator behavioral charts. "What if it's not biological? What if it's something else?" "Like what?" "I don't know. But look at this." Vex Ti highlighted sections of the reports. Every single incident mentions the same thing. The predators don't run away in fear. They don't attack in rage. They just stop. Like they're thinking about something. More reports arrived daily. The pattern was spreading across the galaxy. Human explorers, miners, traders, and researchers were walking through territories that had been closed to other species for centuries. The Mining Guild reported that human crews could work on worlds where automated systems had failed due to predator interference. Exploration teams that had been forced to retreat were now requesting human partners. But the most disturbing report came from the prison moon of Zirion 7. The facility held the galaxy's most dangerous criminals in cells guarded by biosentries. These creatures were specially bred to be perfect guards. They felt no pain, showed no mercy, and never stopped hunting escaped prisoners. During a power failure, 300 prisoners had escaped into the facility's lower levels. Among them were humans, Zephyrians, Corvani, and dozens of other species. The biosentries had tracked them all down within hours. Except the humans. Security footage showed the biosentries finding human prisoners and then hesitating. The creatures that had been programmed to kill without question were backing away from unarmed human convicts. Warden Gexpol filed an emergency report. The biosentries are malfunctioning. They refuse to apprehend human prisoners. But Dr. Kethvar was beginning to think it wasn't a malfunction at all. He called an emergency meeting with the Galactic Council's Xenopsychology Department. Representatives from 30 species gathered in the conference chamber. "We have a problem," Kethvar announced. "Every apex predator species we've studied shows the same behavioral anomaly when encountering humans. They avoid direct confrontation despite having clear physical advantages. Perhaps humans emit some unknown pheromone?" suggested Dr. Mordak of the Corvani. "We've tested for that. Nothing. Electromagnetic interference? Also negative." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. If the galaxy's deadliest predators were avoiding humans for unknown reasons, it changed everything about interstellar politics and exploration. "There's something about humans," Kethvar said finally, "that triggers an instinctive response in predator species across the galaxy. Something that makes them choose avoidance over aggression." "But what?" "That," Kethvar said, gathering the files, "is what we need to find out." The pattern was clear. Now they needed to understand why it existed. Dr. Kethvar arrived at Luna Station with 12 sealed transport containers. Each one held a different apex predator species, all carefully sedated for the journey. The human research facility was the most advanced in this sector of the galaxy, and Dr. Han Wujin had agreed to help solve the mystery. "Welcome to Luna Station," Wujin said as they unloaded the containers in the specialized laboratory. "We've prepared individual observation chambers for each specimen." The lab was impressive. Reinforced walls, multiple backup power systems, and observation equipment that could track everything from brainwaves to chemical emissions. If there was a scientific answer to the predator mystery, they would find it here. "Let's start with the basics," Wujin suggested. "We'll test every possible human biological marker." They spent the first week running tests. Blood samples, skin cells, hair follicles, saliva, breath analysis. They tested human pheromones, electromagnetic signatures, sonic frequencies, and even thermal patterns. Research assistant Kong Minji helped collect samples while staying safely outside the containment chambers. The results were completely negative. "The creatures don't react to any human biological markers when humans aren't actually present," Wujin reported, reviewing their data. "We pumped human sense into the Shadowmosh chamber for 6 hours. No response. We played recordings of human voices. Nothing. We even introduced human DNA samples. The predators ignored everything." Kethvar studied the readings with growing frustration. "Then it's not what humans are. It's something else." "Maybe it's what humans do," suggested graduate student Im Hayok. That afternoon they began the direct observation tests. Minji entered the first chamber, which held a crystal render from the Tau Ceti system. The creature had been completely calm until the door opened. Then it immediately retreated to the far corner and remained motionless. "Look at its body language," Wujin noted. "It's not showing fear responses. No increased heart rate, no stress chemicals. It's just waiting." They repeated the test with each specimen. A void stalker that normally phased through walls to hunt stayed completely solid and visible when research assistant Park Jisoo entered its chamber. A bonecrusher alpha that could bite through starship hull plating simply sat down and watched when maintenance worker Seo Jihun came in to check the ventilation system. "It's consistent across all species," Kethvar observed. "But what are they responding to?" The breakthrough came during the third week. Hayok was reviewing old Earth documentary footage for his thesis on comparative biology when he noticed something. "Dr. Wujin, look at this," he called, projecting the images on the main screen. The footage showed ancient humans hunting across African plains. Persistence hunters tracking prey for hours, sometimes days, across vast distances. The humans moved with steady, patient steps. They never rushed. They never gave up. They simply followed until their prey collapsed from exhaustion. "Notice the movement pattern," Hayok said. "The gait, the posture, the complete lack of urgency." Wujin compared it to security footage of Minji walking through the predator chambers. The similarities were striking. The same steady pace. The same patient observation. The same quiet confidence. "That's interesting, but I don't see how ancient hunting techniques would affect alien predators from different star systems," Kethvar said. "Maybe it's not about the techniques," suggested Dr. Lee Yunji, who had joined the team from the Xenoarchaeology department. Maybe it's about the behavioral signature. She pulled up her research files. I've been studying predator evolution across 40 different worlds. There's a pattern I've been tracking. The data was complex, but the conclusion was simple. On world after world, the same type of hunter had emerged during evolutionary history. Not the fastest or strongest predators, but the most persistent ones. Every planet that developed complex life forms also developed persistence hunters, Yunji explained. Different species, different environments, but the same basic method. They never stopped following their prey. She showed them fossil records from dozens of worlds. The eternal stalkers of Zephyros Prime. The tireless hunters of Corvani homeworld. The patient predators of 100 different ecosystems. These persistence hunters left deep marks on every world's evolutionary history, she continued. They shaped how prey species evolved, how they behaved, how they survived. But those species are extinct, Kethvar pointed out. Most of them died out millions of years ago. Extinct, yes. But their influence isn't. Look at the behavioral patterns of every modern predator species. She ran comparative analysis programs, checking movement patterns, hunting strategies, and survival responses across their test subjects. Every single apex predator in our lab has evolved specific behaviors to avoid encounters with persistence hunters, she revealed. They're hardwired to recognize and avoid the behavioral signature of something that will never stop following them. The room fell silent as the implications became clear. Are you saying, Wu Jin asked slowly, that humans move like the persistence hunters that shaped predator evolution across the galaxy? Not like them, Yunji corrected. Humans are them. Earth developed the same type of persistence hunter as every other world. But unlike other worlds, Earth's persistence hunters didn't go extinct. They became the dominant species. Hayek pulled up more footage of humans walking through the predator chambers. Look at this from an evolutionary perspective. The steady gait. The patient observation. The complete absence of fear or urgency. To these predators, humans aren't exhibiting prey behavior or even threat behavior. Then what are we exhibiting? Kethvar asked. The behavioral signature of the thing their ancestors spent millions of years learning to avoid, Yunji said. Humans move exactly like the ultimate predator that every species on every world evolved to run from. The mystery was beginning to make sense. Humans weren't triggering fear responses in alien predators. They were triggering something much deeper. Something written into the genetic memory of every species that had ever learned what it meant to be hunted by something that would never, ever give up. The ancient archives on Zirion Prime held the galaxy's oldest records. Dr. Shin Yuna walked through halls lined with data crystals that contained millions of years of evolutionary history. She had come here with Dr. Kethvar to find the final pieces of the puzzle. The keepers maintain records from over 47 different worlds, the elderly Zirion librarian explained as he led them deeper into the archives. Most date back to when these planets first developed complex life. Yuna set up her portable analysis equipment next to a massive data terminal. For weeks, she had been comparing predator evolution across different star systems. The pattern was there, but she needed more data to prove her theory. Start with the Zephyrian homeworld, she told Kethvar. Pull up everything about their ancient predator species. The first files painted a picture of a world much like Earth. Vast plains, scattered forests, and creatures that hunted in ways that seemed familiar. The eternal stalkers had been Zephyros Prime's apex predators for over 3 million years. Look at this description, Kethvar read aloud. They hunted by following prey across enormous distances. Their method was simple but terrifying. They never stopped. They never rested. They followed until their prey collapsed from exhaustion. Yuna nodded. Now check Corvani Prime. The records from the Corvani homeworld told a similar story. The tireless hunters had dominated their planet's food chain for even longer. They had the same hunting method. Follow. Wait. Never give up. Kael'Rath next, Yuna said. On Kael'Rath they had been called the patient ones. Different names, same strategy. Track prey for days, weeks, even months if necessary. The prey might hide, might fight, might try to escape. But the patient ones always found them in the end. World after world showed the same pattern. Each planet had developed its own version of the ultimate persistence hunter. Different species, different appearances, but identical methods. It's like the galaxy followed the same blueprint, Kethvar observed. Not the galaxy, Yuna corrected. Evolution itself. When you have large prey animals and open terrain, persistence hunting becomes the perfect strategy. It develops independently on world after world. She pulled up genetic analysis data from their test subjects back on Luna Station. Now look at how modern predators evolved in response to these persistence hunters. The data was clear. Every current apex predator species showed evolutionary adaptations designed specifically to avoid one type of encounter. Fast bursts of speed to create distance. Camouflage abilities to hide completely. Territorial behaviors that kept them in familiar areas where they could find hiding places quickly. They're not just predators, Yuna realized. They're prey. All of them. They evolved from species that survived by learning to avoid the ultimate hunters. Park Ji-hyun joined them from Luna Station via communication link. He had been running behavioral analysis on their test subjects while Yuna researched the archives. I've been studying the brain scans from our specimens, Ji-hyun reported. When humans enter their chambers, specific neural pathways activate. These are ancient pathways hardwired into their genetic memory. What kind of pathways? Kethvar asked. Avoidance behaviors. But not normal predator avoidance. This is something much deeper. These neural patterns are so old they predate conscious thought in these species. Yuna understood what that meant. They're not making a choice to avoid humans. It's automatic. Like breathing or heartbeat. She pulled up comparative analysis charts on the main screen. Every modern predator species carries genetic memory of their ancestors' greatest threat. The thing that shaped their entire evolutionary development. The evidence was overwhelming. 47 different worlds. Hundreds of predator species. All carrying the same evolutionary trauma. On every planet where complex life developed, the same type of hunter emerged, Yuna explained. The persistence hunter. The thing that never stops, never gives up, never lets prey rest. These hunters dominated their worlds for millions of years. But they all went extinct, Kethvar pointed out. Most of them, yes. Climate changes, environmental disasters, competition from other species. But their influence never died. Every prey species that survived carried genetic instructions. Avoid anything that shows persistence hunter behavior. She showed them footage from Luna Station of research assistant Nam Jaiwan walking through the predator chambers. Look at how she moves. The steady pace. The patient observation. The complete lack of urgency or fear. Then she showed them archive footage of the ancient eternal stalkers hunting on Zephyros Prime millions of years ago. The movement patterns were identical. Humans didn't just evolve as persistence hunters, Yuna said. They evolved as the perfect example of what persistence hunters are supposed to look like. The room was quiet as everyone processed this information. So when our predators see humans, Ji-hyun said slowly, they're seeing the ghost of their worst evolutionary nightmare. Not a ghost, Yuna corrected. The real thing. Humans are what the eternal stalkers were. What the tireless hunters were. What the patient ones were. They're the living example of the behavioral pattern that every predator species in the galaxy learned to avoid. She pulled up the final piece of evidence. Brain scans from their test subjects when humans were present versus when humans were absent. When no humans are around, these predators show normal apex predator neural activity. Confidence, territorial behavior, hunting instincts. But the moment a human enters their environment, ancient pathways activate. Pathways that say, this is the thing our ancestors ran from. This is what we must avoid. That's why they back away, Kethvar understood. It's not fear of humans specifically. It's genetic memory of what humans represent. Exactly. To every predator species in the galaxy, humans look like the ultimate hunter their ancestors spent millions of years learning to escape from. The revelation was complete. Humans hadn't conquered alien predators through strength or technology. They had done it by being the living embodiment of every predator's deepest evolutionary memory. The thing that taught the galaxy what it meant to be hunted by something that would never stop. The Galactic Council chambers had never been so quiet. Representatives from 67 species sat in stunned silence as Ambassador Oh Sungmin finished presenting the research findings. The holographic displays still showed the evolutionary data, the brain scans, the undeniable proof of what humans represented to the galaxy's predators. So you see, Sungmin said calmly, we're not trying to intimidate anyone. We're just being ourselves. A low murmur ran through the chamber. The Zephyrian delegate, General Kexthor, was the first to speak. Are you saying that every time we see a human walk, we're seeing the thing our ancestors feared most? According to the research, yes. The Corvani representative stood up, her forearms trembling slightly. The tireless hunters killed 60% of all life on our homeworld. They hunted for 3 million years until the Great Ice Age finally stopped them. And now, the Eldorian delegate added, You're telling us that humans move exactly like they did. The chamber erupted in nervous chatter. Some species seemed fascinated. Others appeared disturbed. A few looked ready to leave. Dr. Lee Jion stepped forward to the speaker's platform. She had been leading the practical applications of their discovery for the past month. The important thing to understand, she said, is that this changes everything about galactic exploration and trade. She activated new holographic displays showing star charts. Red zones marked areas that had been closed to exploration due to predator activity. 3 weeks ago, these sectors were considered too dangerous for any expedition. Mining operations, research stations, even military patrols avoided them completely. The display changed to show recent expedition reports. Yesterday, civilian mining crew led by Captain Yong Minsu successfully established operations on Kepler 438b. The local razor wing population maintains a respectful distance of exactly 50 meters from all human personnel. More reports appeared on the screen. The abandoned colony world of New Carthage was being resettled with human protection specialists. Trade routes through the Void Stalker territories had reopened. Research stations were being established on worlds that had been written off as uninhabitable. The economic implications alone are staggering, Jion continued. We're talking about access to resources and territories that have been locked away for centuries. But not everyone was pleased with these developments. The Xerian delegate stood up, his ancient frame shaking with anger. You speak of economics while ignoring the deeper issue. Humans are walking evolutionary nightmares. How are we supposed to feel safe around you? The same way you felt safe yesterday, Dr. Bae Kyung-soo replied from the research team section. Nothing has changed about humans. We've always been this way. You just didn't know why your predators avoided us. But now we do know, the Xerian delegate shot back. And the knowledge is terrifying. Sungmin raised his hand for quiet. I understand your concerns. But consider this, humans have been part of galactic society for over 50 years. In all that time, have we ever used this ability to harm anyone? The chamber fell silent again. It was true. Despite their unconscious effect on predators, humans had never shown aggressive behavior toward other species. If anything, Sungmin continued, we've been trying to help. Human security teams are now volunteering to escort exploration missions. Our researchers are sharing their findings freely. We want to use this discovery to make the galaxy safer for everyone. A new voice spoke up from the back of the chamber. Captain Torres, the rescue team leader who had first witnessed the phenomenon at Research Station Kepler 442. Permission to speak, Ambassador? Granted. Torres stepped forward. I was there when we first discovered this. I've seen it in action dozens of times since then. Yes, it's strange. Yes, it's hard to understand. But I've also seen human teams walk into areas that would have taken massive military operations to clear. He activated his own display, showing footage from recent expeditions. This is the Shadowmaw nest on Tartarus 7. 3 months ago, it would have taken a full battle fleet to establish a research station there. Last week, Dr. Kim Mina and 2 assistants set up equipment while the Shadowmaws watched from a safe distance. More footage played. Human geologists collecting samples on death worlds. Human traders establishing supply routes through territories that had been no-go zones for decades. They're not using this ability to conquer anyone, Torres said. They're using it to go places the rest of us can't. To do jobs that were impossible before. The Zephyrian general nodded slowly. Our military spent a fortune trying to clear Crimson 4 of Razor Wings. Thousands of soldiers died in the attempt. Now you're telling me a single human could have walked through their territory safely? Not just safely, Dr. Han Woojin added via communication link from Luna Station. Our studies show that human presence actually calms predator populations. They don't flee in panic. They just give humans space. Which means, Jion said, returning to the speaker platform, we can coexist with species that other civilizations can only fight or avoid. The implications were sinking in across the chamber. Worlds that had been abandoned could be reclaimed. Resources that had been unreachable could be accessed. Dangerous territories could become safe with human guides. But perhaps more importantly, the galaxy was beginning to understand something fundamental about humanity. We never meant to be intimidating, Sungmin said in closing. We're just persistent. When we decide to do something, we don't give up easily. It's not aggression or dominance. It's just who we are. The Corvani delegate spoke up one final time. And that persistence is what our ancestors feared most. Yes, Sungmin acknowledged. But it's also what makes us good allies. When we commit to helping someone, we don't quit. When we promise to protect something, we follow through. The same trait that makes predators nervous makes us reliable partners. The vote to officially recognize humans as galactic predator specialists passed by a wide margin. As the session ended, species that had feared humanity for reasons they couldn't explain finally understood the truth. Humans weren't conquerors or threats. They were simply the galaxy's reminder of what it meant to never give up. And sometimes that was exactly what the galaxy needed.